Abraham Lincoln gave as a gift to a man named Abdul Qadir who fought the French invasion and occupation of Algiers for...
Now he's speaking about the invasion on the Moorish Empire, the French, and then it was the French protectorate once they got in.
15 years in a public jihad.
And it wasn't no 15 years because the papers we have around 1900s and before, but then in the papers all the way up until the 40s, but now they're keeping it under wrap, but it's still going on. The occupation is in the Americas still.
Against French resistance. Abraham Lincoln gave this man 2 Colt pistols as a gift for a heroic deed that he would do in order to earn these gifts, along with gifts from the Pope, the Ottoman Empire, even the French Legion, which he had fought for over 15 years, recognized him and honored him by the French Legion, and also gave him an annual stipend of 150,000 francs per year.
Per year, so that means he ended up selling out to the French. But all the popes and everything was sending him stuff. It's a tragedy to attempt to have him sell out. And the French had him sell out because he said they was paying him an annual payment. And he was fighting against the colonization, but then took the money from the same people that was colonizing. Traitor, robber, thief.
So who is Abdul Qadir and what can we learn about him?
I just learned that he was a traitor, a robber, a thief.
Well, to understand that, we have to go back to the time when Algiers was occupied by the French. And to go back to this time, the French had sent an occupational force of about 35,000 soldiers, 600 ships to blockade Algiers.
Remember, a mile wide too. Once they ran them to the Atlas Mountains, mile wide of guards trying to keep them from getting back in.
To make a long story short, there was an affair and some insults happened to the French ambassador at the time or whoever it was. Long story short, the French ended up invading Algiers. It was one of the most barbaric, most violent invasion that you can ever imagine. After invading Algiers, they participated in a campaign of terrorism, a campaign of quelling resistance that led to the death of over 850,000 Algiers.
850,000 Moors. 850, almost 1 million Moors.
Men, women, and children during this barbaric act. The French thought that invading Algiers would be easy after they fought off whoever it was that was in charge of Algiers, which was the Ottomans at that time, and the Ottoman Dey at that time.
There goes the code word, Ottoman, which is, the Moors.
Had left. They thought, okay, that's it. The resistance over. These people are too barbaric and too backwards to even resist us.
So just like in the Americas, you got the main population that's dumb, deaf, and blind, loving what they're bringing around and all that. Meanwhile, you got the few trying to take the land back.
It wasn't until Amir Abdul Qadir came back from Hajj at a young man of about 24, and he led a jihad fi sabilillah against the French resistance. And this jihad lasted for 15 years with him and his men doing skirmishes.
This mess been going on since before 1492.
And attacks against French Legion troops. After 15 years, unfortunately, he was no longer able to keep up the resistance. He was caught, and there was a deal made that he would go into exile and be given safe passage. And of course, he went to exile and was given safe passage. What happened later is, as the Ottoman Empire was breaking apart and collapsing, there was sectarian violence that happened in Syria between the Druze and the Christian Maronite population, and really on sectarian lines. During that fashion at that time, there was a huge mob of people that were going to the Christian quarters, and they were actively just doing what mobs do, which is killing and targeting Christian men, women, children, families, and all that.
So then when you see the videos of those who call themselves walking by Christians on the Holy Land and they're spitting on the ground and all of that, that's who was doing that too, man. So Al-Qadar or whatever went back and helped Christians because he done sold out anyway.
When Abdul Qadir heard about this man who had been fighting jihad fi sabilillah against the French, he did not allow
Did you hear him just slip up and say against the French?
Oh, that fight that he was doing against the French to, tarnish his understanding of the world and understood to protect civilians and to protect Christians, and there was no animosity or hatred for him and the Christian population. Abdul Qadir and his men went into these cities and they saved thousands of Christians from these riotous mobs. In fact, they got the Christians and they put them into a citadel, and that's where the majority of them stayed. Many of them he also brought into his own home. The story goes that when he brought these Christians to his own home, the mob came to his home and they demanded that Abdul Qadir release these people so they could kill them. And Abdul Qadir, being somebody who understands the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being a Sufi, being somebody who fought jihad fi sabilillah against the French for 15 years, he went out there and he told the entire crowd that the deen of Allah and the message of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam very clearly states that you cannot kill men, women, and children who are innocent. You cannot target people based on this religion. And he shamed this entire mob of people, so much so that the entire mob left. When the dust settled and the rioting stopped, he, Abdul Qadir, and his fellow troops saved 10,000 people from that mob. Because of this, the superpowers of the time really began to recognize Abdul Qadir. He was given a Gordon shotgun by Queen Victoria, who had ruled Britain for nearly 70 years. He was given gifts by the Pope at the time, and the Pope's rival, which is the Ottoman Khalifa and the Ottoman Sultan at the time as well. He was also given 2 Colt pistols.
You heard him. He said the Pope's rival was the Ottoman Sultan and Khalifa. Ottoman is the code word for Moorish, so Ottoman, Khalifa, and Sultan. That was the Pope's rival.
Gifts by the Pope at the time, and the Pope's rival, which is the Ottoman Khalifa and the Ottoman Sultan at the time as well. He was also given 2 Colt pistols by none other than Abraham Lincoln. Why? Because his efforts of resisting invasion, his efforts of fighting occupation, in order to be free, in order to yearn for freedom, was a message.
He took the payout, though, from the ones who was colonizing. He took the pie.
That resonated all around the world, and especially in the United States. And it's a part of our history that's been forgotten, how Abraham Lincoln knew of Abdul Qadir and gave him this gift. And I hope that all of us this Ramadan,
anyone who offered him anything, sent him anything, gave him anything, was assisting in the colonization of the Moorish Empire. Queen Victoria, the Pope, the French, Abraham Lincoln, all was sucking his. But hey, who is he compared to Allah? So yes, Islam. There's the 5 shields for the 5 Moorish families, El Bayday, Allah, and Ali. I know family, you want to get into definition or whatever, but the 5 titles. Then you got the 7 castles, which indicate the Moors are using 7 castles throughout the world to keep the stronghold, and that's through the ports for the services and goods and all that. But now Europe got a hold of them. Like in Cuba, the Moro Castle, the canals, brothers and sisters. In Moorish empires, the Suez Canal. Cuba, it's the Moro Castle. In 1912, they planned to cut the island nation in half. Canal de Entrada in the west side of Havana, Cuba. And there's more of them too. Cuba, Moro Castle, of the 3 Magi kings of Moro, named after the 3 biblical Magi, is a fortress guarding the entrance to the Havana harbor. Do you not have ears to hear what I've been trying to tell y'all, man? Islam, brothers and sisters, divine honors to Prophet Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish Divine and National Movement. Praise be to Allah for having thoughts within a prophet to give us a message, because only Allah can straighten this mess out. And it may look like it's bad, Moors, but Allah's going to flip it only so fast that they will realize that they messing with the wrong ones. Truth and falsehood strangely mixed.
MOO, navigator of stars and quasars. You don't know who they are, but you gon' know by them all. Insufficient knowledge in school and college. Truth is but one, yet they hide it in lodges. I'm at the top of the shrine. My bloodline's divine, sublime, hard to find. Ain't no other European speaking like this. Dale includes L, I was born in the bliss. Divine origin, fallen sun soaring through the air while the lower vibration roaring. Gratitude to the few faithful I knew, like the clouds of heaven which drop upon the earth fruit. Always keep Ali up front, if you wanna make it through the fire, no Knievel stunt. Know yourself and your father got Allah, so you may learn to love instead of hating, that's all. Divine origin, fallen sun soaring through the air while the lower vibration roaring. Divine origin, fallen sun soaring through the air while the lower vibration roaring.